For our final project, our group chose to research the Durham County School redistricting plans to see what variables may be impacted in the upcoming school year based on these proposed plans. The purpose of redistricting in Durham County schools is meant for improving the education of all students, no matter what race they are, how many family members live together, or the geographical location in which they live.
The question whether Durham school districts are fair is an issue that requires careful consideration. While Durham school districts strive to make sure students receive equal education, there are still some discrepancies. Many of these are a result of systematic inequalities such as poverty, unequal distribution of resources. To closer identify these struggles, we took a look at elementary school districts in Durham and measured the variables above.
Therefore, we hypothesized that plans with a smaller mathematical indication of unequal distribution would be a fairer plan. After thoroughly researching and putting together data based on chi-squared values from the current 2023 through 2024 plan and the new 2024 through 2025 plan, we discovered something interesting. While conducting our research, we discovered that the plan for the 2024 through 2025 school year will be more likely to place students at a disadvantage educationally wise compared to the current academic school plan.
For this study, we utilized an Excel sheet to conduct a chi-square test to analyze census statistics collected by the U.S. Census. We argue that a smaller chi-squared value will represent a more equitable distribution, hence better planning, because a smaller chi-squared value may suggest a smaller difference between the actual demographic distribution and the fair demographic distribution. The thing to note is, in our study, we only used disjoint variables.
This is a graph that we made based out of the chi-squared results we calculated for each variable for both years. Based on these numbers, we found out that the 2023 through 2024 plan has smaller chi-squared values for 8 out of the 11 variables, 73% of the total variables we calculated. The 2023 through 2024 plan has smaller chi-squared values in age, ethnicity, earnings, household income, educational attainment, health insurance coverage, race. The 2024 through 2025 plan has smaller chi-squared values in employment, status, citizenship, and people per room. The y-axis on this graph for Durham Public Schools shows the chi-squared values, while the x-axis shows the different categories discussed in the introduction. This will be the same for all the graphs below.
The first variable we looked at is the race of each individual in the Durham Public School District, which is a disjoint category. Looking at this graph, the 2024 to 2025 plans chi-squared values vary from the 2023 to 2024 values. The 2024 to 2025 plan appears to affect Hispanic or Latino the most compared with the rest. Here we looked at households of Hispanic or Latino versus households of not Hispanic and not Latino. The first set of bars are the total households, with the second being Hispanic or Latino householders, and the last is not Hispanic or Latino households. As you can see, the chi-squared values went up in the 2024 to 2025 plan, but it affected the Hispanic or Latino households more, and they were less equally distributed.
In the household income variable, the difference between the two plans for each subcategory is almost the same, with the current plan always having a smaller number. This would indicate that the current plan is more equitable based on household income. Meanwhile, it should be noticed that the distribution of households with annual income of under $25,000 and over $100,000 has significantly higher values, which may suggest unequal distribution of wealthy and poor households across Durham. While the with earnings category is much smaller in number compared to no earnings, which may suggest about the overall income and earnings picture of Durham, the no earnings sections appear to have a significantly larger difference between the two plans, with the bar for the current plan half as high as the proposed plan. This indicates that the current plan is much more equitable. In terms of the with earning category, the difference is small. The employment status variable shows a similar trend as the earnings section in terms of having a smaller number for employed than unemployed. Meanwhile, opposite with the previous slide, the bar for unemployed for the current plan is significantly higher than the future proposed plan, which indicates that the current plan is not as equitable as the future plan. For this variable, the two plans almost have no difference in value for each category. When we look closer, it should be noticed that the current plan is more equitable for below poverty, and the future plan is more equitable for at or above poverty, but both exceed the other at only a small value. Overall, the current plan is slightly more equitable than the future proposed plan in terms of distribution of poverty.
People without health insurance coverage will have a significantly less diverse distribution in the 2025 plan. Overall, people with health insurance are well distributed among districts in both plans in comparison to people without health insurance. There are very small differences between the plans for the 2023 and 2024 to 2025. But there is an overall loss in diversity in educational attainment for those who earn less than a high school diploma, suggesting that those without a high school diploma are more concentrated in certain districts. This is one category where the 2024 to 2025 redistricting plan does do a better job than the current redistricting plan on balancing a population across its school districts, although those who are foreign-born are less equally distributed than those who are native-born in general and in both plans. Occupancy per room is also one of the categories where the 2024 to 2025 plan has a slight improvement, especially for those households that have more than 2 occupants per room on average. Age is skewed here, probably due to Duke's campus being mostly within one elementary school district or
Overall, the 2023 to 2024 district plan is more equitable based on the variables we chose to look at. The 2023 to 2024 plan had lower chi-squared values for 8 of the 11 variables, including earnings, education, and ethnicity. However, the 2024 to 2025 redistricting plan had lower chi-squared values for employment status. The smaller chi-squared values indicate a smaller difference between the actual and expected values calculated, meaning that the geographic spread of each variable is more even, making it more equitable.
We also did an evaluation of our project. The method of this study has several strengths that contribute to the validity and reliability of our findings. First, the use of census data is a credible and reliable source while providing a standardized way to categorize social characteristics, making it easier to compare across different schools and years. The use of chi-square tests allow for easy comparison. Another strength is that our data is recent and up-to-date, which helps identify areas of improvement in immediate and recent manner. Also, although we did not include all dimensions of demographics, we compared a wide range of variables, making our evaluation comprehensive and well-developed. However, there are also some weaknesses to our study. One potential weakness is non-response bias, which occurs when the total number of respondents is not the same for each variable, which may cause errors in the analysis. The second is that the chi-square test assumes that all data are being analyzed independently and randomly sampled, which may not be the case in our study. Also, chi-square itself may not be sufficient to provide a comprehensive evaluation of the redistricting plan. Lastly, it's the problem with disjointness, which may be misleading and cause errors in our analysis. Based on the evaluation of our methodology, we can conclude that the result of our analysis are reliable and accurate to a certain extent. Our study is a good approximation of the demographic distribution of students in Durham public schools. It is important to recognize that there may be limitations to the accuracy of our conclusions. Overall, our analysis provides a useful starting point for understanding the demographic distribution of students in Durham public schools, but further research is needed to provide a more comprehensive and accurate understanding of this issue.
Based on our findings, the proposed plan for the Durham Public School District is less diverse and less fair. This can have negative effects on students. Research supports that exposure to diversity enhances critical thinking and problem-solving ability, while also improving several other attributes related to academic success, including student satisfaction and motivation, general knowledge, and intellectual self-confidence. For more accurate results, conducting our own surveys would allow us to look at the Durham Public School District in a more comprehensive manner. This would allow for control over the biases that may be present in the census data, analyzing different variables, and looking at more schools than the elementary schools in the district. For future research, it may be important to look at the significance of the differences in the chi-squared values and whether or not these differences are random or not.